What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Sun Belt Syndicate. I wanted to start off with like a DX intro. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we proudly present to you.
Well, you
And
just
the reason I thought about doing that is because it's WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, yes.
We've also got some wrestling going on in the standings of the Sun Belt Baseball Conference. So we are going to go over that and get into that with you guys all tonight. But first off, Marv, baseball heavy family. What's been going on in the kids' baseball leagues? How are they playing lately?
So we've got 5 Little League games this week, 3 for Mason, 2 for Logan, and then a tournament this weekend. Man, I love baseball, but Monday can't get here quick enough to get a little bit of a break. So they're doing good, man. Logan's team is figuring it out, and Mason's team is doing really well. He's struggling a little bit at the plate right now, but he pitched really good the other night. So yeah, just chugging along midway through the year.
Yeah. How much as a coach do you talk about going on runs to these kids, right? Like the college guys that we've interviewed talk about that. Like baseball is a game of runs, like an inning or a couple game stretch. Like, do you talk about that with the kids at this age, or is that not quite into the conversation just yet?
The older kids a little bit, you just try to make them be consistent, right? If we can be consistent and play, at our best or near our best as many times as possible, then as a team, we're going to be all right. And then individually, if you can just do what you're capable of doing, right? Just don't try to do something more than what you're capable of doing, and don't settle for anything less, and just play consistent, and everything will take care of itself. Baseball is a tough, mean game, right? It's a game of failure. So you got to know you're going to fail more times than you succeed. So just be as consistent as you can, and hopefully it all averages out at the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's some teams that are hoping it all averages out for them as we get into the later parts of this season. And we're calling this episode, They Did What? And on the graphic, the show opener, if you're listening to the audio version of this, we've got all the teams that I feel like you could kind of use that in description of after this past weekend. And we'll get into the details of this. But on the graphic here is Troy, Texas State, Southern Miss, the Ragin' Cajuns, JMU, and Georgia State.
Yeah.
So there's some things to go over from this past weekend, and we will jump right in. But first of all, we're going to go over our weekly series picks from this past week. We had Dylan join us, Dylan Wade, who is a Southern Miss fan, and I partnered up with him, not known going in, but we both picked Southern Miss to sweep. But even Marv, you and Seth picked Southern Miss to win, and now we know that didn't happen, right?
No, that probably the biggest surprise of the weekend. I don't think anyone saw that coming, but I would like to say I'm back on top where I belong. I'm going to separate this week. No one's going to catch me. And I think for the second or maybe third consecutive year, I'm taking this one home.
Yeah, you're looking really good. I don't have that on this graphic, but the overall standings right now, series-wise, we'll go over the series first. 18-29 for myself. Terrible record. Seth is somehow worse at 13-34. Awful. Marv, very respectable, 21-26.
Oh, still a losing record? That's garbage.
It's still a losing record, but again, this is, you got to nail these series correctly. That's impressive. That's actually impressive, I think. For the overall records, just based on wins and losses overall, I sit at 83-37. Seth is at 87-33, so kind of like swapping some numbers there. But Marv, 92-28 you are on the season with wins and losses overall. So that is,
I feel a lot better.
I hope you've been putting some money on these things, man, because 92-28, you'd be making some.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think I've ever gambled on baseball before.
Interesting. Pro baseball, probably not college. Is that?
Neither.
Neither, really? Okay.
No, I'm honestly, man, I'm a football only guy.
I think there's something to say about enjoying the game without having something extra on the line, right? Like I've done both, but it's a lot more fun when you don't have to care about an extra aspect to what you do.
Baseball is such a fluky game, right? Like
true.
most dominant team could be playing the worst team, and a pitcher has a crappy outing, right? And the other team just catches fire for a game, and it's like, huh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Baseball's just weird like that. That's why I
Yeah,
don't. Same thing with soccer. Same thing with hockey. It's just it's too unpredictable. Football is the same way, but especially at the pro level, like the consistency thing we're just talking about. Who's more consistent?
right. Yeah, I feel like if you're smart, you just attach yourself to one of the best teams if you can do that early on, and you just kind of stick with them throughout the whole season.
I,
And it's going to be the long play, but you may come out really positive in the end. You know.
I followed a guy, maybe it was on Instagram or Facebook last year, that did that with the Dodgers. And he just bet on the Dodgers the entire way through and, ended up way ahead of where he should have been. But that was his philosophy. Like, I'm going to stick with the Dodgers. It was something like $10 a game. Would have put a futures odd on them at the very beginning of the season, the World Series. And in the long term, he won money.
Nice. The one thing that's cool is the futures. I think of that stuff being kind of the biggest payoff, but the problem is you have to wait so long a lot of times. Like college football always has the futures for the records overall. I'm like, man, I really want to take a chance on this or that. But even if you put in $5 or something minimal, your payout doesn't come till the season's over, and that becomes officially a win or a loss, and it's just like not so much fun, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't think they do that for baseball. I just, like you said, maybe for pros.
Not for record. I think it's like who's going to win their division, who's going to go to the championship series, and who's going to go to the World Series and win it. But dude, with all the prop bets that are allowed on these betting sites now,
True.
Probably some crazy stuff like how many total runs will they score in a year? Like, I guarantee there's crazy crap out there.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point. All right, so you did take the week with 4 series victories. Dylan and I were right on your tail with 3 apiece. Everybody got the Marshall series right. Marshall wins 2-1 over Old Dominion. No one predicted Georgia State sweeping, obviously. I don't think anybody saw that. We were kind of evenly split across the board with the ULM App State series. Seth actually taking ULM, the only one to actually take ULM. I thought, I took a chance on App sweeping because they were the home team. ULM obviously got that middle one to make it an even series before App took it. Obviously, no one predicted Troy to take down Texas State in any fashion. Another surprise one. I think Seth was maybe either overthinking or just hoping that he'd get one that nobody else would take by taking Arkansas State 2-1. I've seen some people in the comments on social media giving him a hard time, and I can't say this for sure. We haven't had this conversation. Maybe we should. Some of Seth's picks at this point, he almost has to take a chance on something, right? Like
it's so far down, he's got to go against the grain. He's either going to bury himself further, or that's the only way for him to climb back up. But I think that might have been his, thinking on that. But because I would have expected Seth to go, coastal for the sweep, to be completely honest.
True. Yep, I could have seen that, and no one did. No one went sweep either direction on that one. But all of us that picked Coastal 2-1 obviously took that one. We talked about. Yeah,
there's been a guy every time commenting on our posts is like, quit picking Southern Miss to sweep, and I was like, I'm not going to pick him to sweep. Maybe this guy's right. Holy crap! Didn't see that one coming. I mean, listen, I think we talked about it. Like, if you would have looked preseason and historically, that you would have been like, man, that's a marquee matchup at this point in the season, right?
Yeah.
But the Cajuns in conference hadn't been playing that well up to that point, so to take a series from a then top 10 ranked team, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, that's a good point. Here's Greg. He's been one of the ones who's given Seth a hard time. Seth has picked against Coastal 3 weeks in a row. I didn't remember that off the top of my head. I know he picked against him the last 2 weeks. But again, how much of that is believing that that's going to be the case or accurate, or how much of that is picking a game that the rest of us won't so he can try and make up some ground? I don't know. I'm not going to speak for him. I don't know that. And maybe he does have a disdain for Coastal, but everything I've ever had conversationally, he doesn't hate Coastal at all. So I don't know. I don't know if you have anything further to say on that part, Marv.
No, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's thinking, hey, there's no way these guys are going to pick Coastal to lose. So to get back in it, I'm going against the grain.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I've not heard him say anything about Coastal. Now, I will say one of the reasons we did talk about this one, he went with Marshall's because that was the pick that got him kind of rolling a little bit last year,
Yeah.
got the Marshall fan base excited. He was the only one to pick Marshall to beat Coastal. I think nationally, because I think like 11.7 or somebody else had picked that series that weekend as well. Everybody had picked Coastal to win it. Seth, I think, was the only one that I saw anywhere get that one right. So full credit to him. And I think he's just sticking to his guns at this point.
Yeah.
South Alabama, 3 of the 4 of us got that one right. That was one Dylan took a chance on. I think, again, maybe a little bit of the Seth thought process there, possibly trying to get the one that nobody else picked. Georgia Southern had stolen a couple games. Maybe they take 2 versus South Alabama. That was not the case. Yeah, that's very true.
I can see the logic behind that, but just odds.
Yeah, and we'll get into the fact how close it was to actually going that way.
It was.
So very, very interesting. But those are weekly series picks. We will get on the board here very shortly with this week's picker. It's been fun to roll through this. A lot of people want to start doing this. It's fun. I think the aspect, like we've said many times, is different than what a lot of others do. And look, you get to pick, if you're a Sunbelt fan, you get to pick your team in some form or fashion. Whether you think they're going to win or lose, you get to decide. So that's kind of fun in that regard. All right, jumping into the power rankings. Again, reminder for people tuning in or watching this later, these came out before last weekend's games because I saw some people, once again, probably not realizing when the post was made and say it was, what are the Cajuns doing down at 10? What's Troy doing over there on the right side? What's ULM doing over there on the left side? Now we will have yet again another week where there's probably quite a bit of movement. But I have a question for you here, Marv. So we've got the Cajuns sitting at 10. That's easily the lowest they've been all season. Yeah. Even with the performance versus Southern Miss, with Southern Miss not being overly impressive here lately, is that enough to put the Cajuns back in the top 7? Or I know I don't want your exact answer maybe, but what are you thinking so far, I guess?
So if you look at just the standings, conference standings, they are 10th. That's where they are, right? Their overall record, they have 21 wins. They've got thank you. They got, the highest amount of wins for anybody on the right side except for Arkansas State now that we've done it like that. They just have not played great baseball in conference. This is a conference power ranking. This isn't, anything else other than that. And we've told everyone before, this is not where we think they'll finish. This is where they are right now. Yep. So, yes, will the Cajuns move up? Yeah, they will. They just went and beat a nationally ranked team, took a series from them. Yeah, they're going to go up. But are they, climbing up to 4? No. Do it again, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, and I think obviously they'll both, Troy and Louisiana, sitting at 9 and 10 respectively, will both jump James Madison. You can't get swept and stay where you're at. There's just not. There's no way that's happening. So with those 2 teams winning and JMU losing, you're at least jumping up a spot each, and then you could decide whether you're going to put Troy or the Cajuns, above or below one another.
There's so much movement they can go because 3 of the teams on the left side all lost their series. Like you said, kind of like we were joking around before the podcast, like, is everyone just allergic to being number 2 in this conference? It's like you just don't want to be there. It's like it's either 1st or 5th, nothing in between. It's just and we've been talking about it. There have been several series the past couple of weeks where teams could have really separated themselves, and they didn't take advantage of it.
Right. And yet again, like you said, we got to sort out if the Sun Belt wants a number of entries into postseason baseball at some point here very soon. Somebody has got to grab a little bit of a stranglehold here. Because otherwise our only hope to get maybe 3 in is likely to have somebody go on a run in the conference tournament. And that probably would mean them having to win. I don't think necessarily at this point I'm thinking Coastal or Southern Miss is on the outside looking in. I would say they're both in pretty comfortably at this point. But if they don't finish the season strong and then, one of these other teams wins the conference, now we're talking about one of our other teams falling down further. Again, I don't know. Even with the way Southern Miss's season is going at this very moment that they would fall all the way out of a 64-team playoff field.
Yeah.
That'd be tough.
I don't think so. I mean, they've been ranked in the top 25 the entire season.
Yeah.
Already have 25 wins, but what if they drop 3 of their next 4 series, right? Like
Yeah.
it could go bad in a hurry. It could also go right in a hurry. They could sweep 2 in a row and we're like, oh man, they just had a bad series against Louisiana. They're back. And you know, we kind of talked earlier in the season about Southern Miss, right? Dominant pitching staff. Could the bats could you count on the bats if you needed the bats? I think for stretches they had that worked for them, and then I don't know, been a probably not as productive past couple weeks as they would have wanted. So, you know, for us, we want to ideally for us, right? We want 2 teams to host at least.
Yes.
And 2 weeks ago, we were probably sitting there. Hell, last week we're probably sitting there saying, you know what? As it sits now, we probably have 2 host sites. Plenty of season left. Just once again, man, there's. I was just looking at the standings, right? So, and you had the screen put up.
Yep.
We have 5 teams at 8-7. 5. I mean, honestly, between second place and between 9th place, 2 games.
Yep. That's insane.
It's
I
crazy.
think could safely say ODU and Georgia Southern probably out. I mean, somebody could go on a run. I just don't think it's realistic when you're looking at the overall records that they could put something together to really push. So it'll be interesting to see which other teams miss out, right? Remind me, if I'm not mistaken, it's the top 10 teams that make it into the conference tournament.
Bottom 4 stay at home.
Bottom 4 stay at home. Okay. So there's a real big push there. I mean, from, like you said, second down, there's nobody that's safe right now. Honestly.
I mean, look how many teams are between 8-7 and 7-8.
Yep.
That's a lot.
That's
I mean,
insane.
One good series, one bad series, and this thing could just continue to flip flop every single week. But you know, somebody's got to take the bull by the horns and say, "Nope, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm going to stay on the left-hand side from here on out." But you know, outside of Coastal and Southern Miss, I think they're probably the only 2 that have always been there. Everybody else has kind of gone back and gone over. It's wild, man. You want to see somebody just really say, "Damn it, I want to win."
Right. It's absolutely. I mean, the only one that is doing that right now is Coastal Carolina, 13-2, 26-9 overall. As I said, and as some people saw on social media, got to see them in person for the first time this year against Wake and Durham last week. Very impressed. I mean, they looked the part. It wasn't like a lucky win. I think it was the bottom of the 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Wake had loaded the bases up. They had, I mean, every opportunity to just go down big and have to fight their way back. The pitching got them through. Strike out with the batter that was out 3. So they made it out of this inning with the bases loaded. I mean, those are the kind of pinches that good teams get through and bad teams give up, right? And so Coastal was showing that they had that strength, and then they went on to pitch 2 more. I guess it was 2 more scoreless innings in order to beat Wake in a neutral site game, and they are playing them again right now. And if I can bring that up, I can give us. It looks like 10-5, bottom 8. So it doesn't look great for Coastal, but they already won the season series versus Wake. They won the first 2 games at home in Durham. They're playing this one on the road in Winston-Salem tonight. I'm supporting both teams here, wearing a Coastal shirt and an App State hat. I almost wore a Marshall hat. I thought about that one too. Got to try to support as many teams as possible. There's only so many articles of clothing you could put on when it's getting I think it was just over 90 degrees today, right, Marv?
It's been warm, buddy, but I guarantee you won't wear that combo into Kid Brewer Stadium.
Nope, I definitely won't. Definitely won't. The comfort and confines of home is all good. I'll wear it here and enjoy it from.
But talking on Coastal for a second,
yeah,
like how good could they be if they were at full strength? Where would they be? Could they have won 3 extra games this year?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And I was just trying to do some research. I mean, it says Fluky's is scheduled to return by the end of the month. So obviously there might be a ramp up period for him, but if they're going to make a run, because I think they're ranked 7th this week.
Yes.
You know, we kind of talked about at the beginning of the season, all the injuries. They had a little rough spell. And we were kind of having the conversation like, does he come back? What does the season look like at the point that he gets healthy? Is it worth it? they got a chance, right? Like I hope they get full strength at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too, because again, even if it's just within this conference, it's fun to play teams at their strongest, right? Like if you win and a team is missing 3 or 4 of their best guys, okay, you beat them, but that's not the same team, right? So like it's always more fun and more enjoyable to beat a team when they're at their best. So we definitely hope to see them continue to get healthy along the way, because this is a team that right now looks like it could be our best representative come postseason baseball time. So let's quickly round the bases before we rewind the week. All right, so a quick syndicate snapshot of last week. Pretty easy here. It was possibility that there wasn't going to be any sweeps, and there was a possibility of, I think, 2 going into Sunday. And now we know we only came out with 1. So, Georgia State Panthers, welcome to the party. Your first series sweep in Sun Belt Conference play of the season. And it came against a James Madison team that was coming off a win versus a ranked Virginia team earlier in the week. So, impressive.
Yeah, obviously nobody got that right in the picks. I can't say I saw that coming. I think I picked JMU to win 2 out of 3. They were playing good baseball. Another team that had a chance to kind of continue to climb and just didn't happen for them.
Yeah, it did not. We'll get into that a little bit further, but that's just a quick look. I don't know. I'll try to, again, put in some more information than just who got swept and who did the sweeping. But right now, it's just a quick, fast look at what we had there. And yeah, I forgot my little thing, but let's rewind the week to see how we got here. All right, so going back to Tuesday's games, and as we're doing that, Artie Cat jumping in. So we'll start there, right? Texas State takes down a ranked Texas A&M team,
and then Texas A&M goes and thumps Texas over the weekend.
Yeah, it's great. So again, Texas State, the state of Texas, not victors, right? I mean, I think Texas will still take that crown this year with how good they started off, but Texas State not intimidated. Obviously, that one was at home. They played A&M at home, but a great win for them. They were looking pretty hot. I think at that point they were won at 4
or 5 in a row. Yeah, that's kind of why what happened over the weekend was a little surprising. Man, they my personal opinion, Texas State beats Texas A&M and then gets a sweep. Could they have been ranked? Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, with who did end up getting ranked, I think that they could have been very deserving at that point. We already touched on the Coastal Wake game. I won't rehash that one. It was a 2-1 victory for them. A couple comfortable victories for Arkansas State easily, and over Memphis, and App State over UNC Asheville. We talked a little bit about this, but JMU beats Virginia, number 13th ranked Virginia at the time, 8-7 on the road. And ODU gets a victory over an in-state opponent, 15-3. I didn't mention that one, but that's another comfortable victory over William and Mary there. Southern Miss squeaked by New Orleans. Again, we always talk about this New Orleans team's causing some of our teams some trouble. They win that one 3-2. The lone setback of Tuesday was Wofford beating Georgia State 7-4. So, hey, why not pick JMU to win over the weekend, right?
After the midweeks, with knowing that they were going to go head to head, like who would have thunk it?
Right. I just, you lean on, and maybe this is the whole thing, right? Like maybe the Sun Belt is really doing like the SEC type, hey, midweeks don't matter to us in some cases. I don't think they're doing that every time. I'm just saying maybe they thought, hey, we don't have to give everything we got to beat Wofford. Well, that was a mistake because Wofford's the best team in the SoCon. So SoCon's no joke when it comes to baseball. So there's also that aspect to it. But yeah, if we could have had that game, we could have swept every single game that we played as a conference on Tuesday, because ULM beat Mississippi Valley State 9-4 in that one. So not bad there. Wednesday, much lighter slate here, but unfortunately kind of went the other way for the most part. Texas State did take down Stephen F. Austin 10-0. which was impressive. And Troy did get past Florida A&M for a second time this year, 12-2, but everybody else lost.
Hey, so this brings up a good point. We talked about it last week. Having 2 midweek games, how does that affect your weekend? Because I think Texas State played a doubleheader on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. They did.
Like, and I'm not saying that's the reason they lost the series, but follow me down this path. You have 2 midweek games, and then you play. They essentially played what, 5 games in 4 days?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of 2 midweek games this late in the season. You got a lot of guys that have thrown a lot of innings. I know everyone's got deep bullpens, but could you maybe had a little bit better rotation if you hadn't had to pitch 2 games midweek? Just my thought. I don't make schedules, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and let's add on top Artie's comment, which makes perfect sense. Crazy rain delays too changed the Troy series, right? So that's probably why they didn't play a Sunday game. They said, "Hey, weather's coming back. We got to fit this in Saturday." The Friday game went after midnight. It concluded after midnight. So, like you said, not only are they playing a bunch of games in a few amount of days, now they're playing like times that they don't typically play with stuff that's probably playing with their typical tradition or habits going into and out of a game, right? Like everything has to be rushed a little bit more or done differently because we played much later. We have to get back earlier, or we're getting here later than usual because coach let us stay, sleep an extra hour or two to kind of make up for it. I don't know what goes on, but it's certainly not going to be the same, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Weird weekend for them. I feel like they've had a couple of those where they had to play doubleheaders on a Saturday or on a Sunday to finish the season. But yeah, coming off a series win the previous week, beating a ranked team, blanking another team, would have wanted a better result for them over the weekend against a Troy team that, no offense, Troy fans, has really not lived up to expectations so far this year. And I mean drastically underperformed.
Right. No, and I think even Troy fans and players would probably tell you that, right? Like they know that they wanted better for themselves and they know they could play better because when they have looked good against Texas State, against a few other opponents, like they've looked the part. But why is that not hitting more often? So, yeah. Just to cover that up, Raging Cajuns lost to Southeast Louisiana.
Southeast Louisiana has taken down a couple Sun Belt teams over the past.
They have, yeah, unfortunately. And Alabama State shocked South Alabama 7-5. I don't think the last one's too much of a shock. West Virginia, good baseball team, number 17 in the country at the time, took down Marshall 12-2. So that's unfortunate. I know how much Marshall fans hate West Virginia and those Mountaineers, the other Mountaineers, but unfortunately unable to take them down like they did at least once last year. Okay, so now we're getting into the weekend slate. I've got some notes here, Marv, but I'll also let you go first here, man. What do you got for what happened within the conference? The scores you're seeing here are from just the last game. So the Troy and Texas State one obviously didn't go Sunday. It's just the series conclusion there. But Marv, start us off wherever you want to with this one.
I mean, listen, bunch of tight series. I think 5 of the 7 series went down to whoever won Sunday won the series. I think the exception of that's obviously JMU, Georgia State, and Coastal had already won their first 2 games.
Right.
You look at the rubber match games, could have gone either way for Southern Miss, but Cajun squeaked that one out. App Hammers, ULM, Georgia Southern, South Alabama. Like we talked about that a little while ago, a 1-run game, and then Marshall ODU, a 2-run game. So a lot of really close, tight games to decide it, which is what you want, right? In a conference that's supposed to be stacked like this. It's always nice to go into Sunday when you've got 5 out of the 7 series that you got to win on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to make note of a few specifics from a couple of the games, Coastal Carolina erupted for 7 runs in the top of the 9th inning in their game against A-State on Friday to come back and win 10-7. They trailed 7-3 in the 9th.
Did you watch that inning? I think I was texting you guys, and I was like, they small balled the crap out of them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you got any other things you want to say specific,
it just felt like it felt like watching a youth baseball game where it's just like, oh my god, the mistakes are starting to compound and they can't get out of it. That's really what it felt like. We talked about Coastal a lot this season, like, rely on the pitching, situational hitting, play small ball, and man, in that ninth inning, they put everything together. And it was if you're a Coastal fan, it was great to see. If you're an Arkansas State fan, you're like, we had that series, right? We had them down by 4 runs going into the ninth and gave up 7.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't want to say calamity of errors, but it just felt like it stacked on top of itself, and it got away.
Yeah. Like you said, just a big comeback win. They were within 1 run. Jordan Taylor ripped it up for a game tying triple.
Yeah.
And then from there,
I think there were 3 bunts in that inning. I could be wrong, but there were several.
I think Colby Thorndike at least had one of the bunts, reached on a bunt to score Taylor to then give the Chants an 8-7 lead. And again, they'd go on to win 10-7 to start that one off. That's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
A-State wins that first game. Coastal doesn't have that comeback. A-State, as we see now, would have won the series against a very highly ranked Coastal Carolina team. Let's jump over to that Georgia State series against James Madison. They completed the sweep with a late inning rally. So this was close in score in most of these games, actually, but they scored 3 runs in the 7th and pushed the go-ahead run across the plate in the 8th to win this last game 5-4 to complete that sweep. And again, their first conference sweep of the season. Over there with Troy taking down Texas State, Josh Pine skied an 11th inning solo home run to seal the doubleheader on Saturday. And that first game was a 15-2 drubbing of Texas State. So that is rough. 7-inning complete game by Tommy Egan was part of that for Troy. So congrats to him on a great performance, getting Troy a much needed series victory. As we know, they struggled to do some of that in last season's season. Season. Yeah, a lot of seasons right there. For App State, Tanner Nolan set the tone with the quality start on the mound. He had 6 strong innings, allowed just 2 runs on 3 hits, picked up 3 strikeouts to improve to 3-0, perfect 3-0 on the season. Jake Mumau uncorked a 2-run double to right field to help the Mountaineers get 12 men to the plate in the inning and score 6 times in that 12-4 Sunday victory. So great stuff there from Marv and I's favorite team. And shout out to a guy we have yet to have on the show this year, but has been on the past 2 seasons. Mr. Bryce Blevins himself was named the Sun Belt Conference Pitcher of the Week. He went just over 8 innings, 1-run baseball, 7 strikeouts, while allowing 6 hits and just 3 walks. He carried a shutout into the 9th, 124-pitch outing, earned his 6th win of the season, tied for the Sun Belt lead and 12th most in the country overall. Blevins has now recorded 7 or more strikeouts in 5 of his 9 starts.
He's a
so
stud,
really,
man.
really
You
impressive.
got to have Bryce back on. He's always great to talk to, and just a phenomenal pitcher. 124 pitches, man. That's you have your coach's confidence. Obviously, he carried 0 runs into the 9th, but you know how cool it has to be. He's a Friday night guy, right? That's the set the tone for the weekend kind of guy.
Exactly.
When your coach gives you the ball, it's like, all right, buddy, you're the guy. Go be him.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I actually want to see him and Coop from Marshall has been commenting and liking and sharing a lot of our stuff as well this year. As another pitcher with him on the Herd roster, we know they have pretty good pitching depth for the first time really in program long history, but some good quality talent over there. So it'd be fun to have 2 guys on and kind of go back and forth with the Herd there. We'll see if we can make that happen. South Alabama closed the door as Brian Garman got to punch out in the bottom of the 9th with the Eagles having the tying runs in scoring position, or the winning run. I'm sorry. They had the winning run in scoring position. So South Alabama came up big to not allow that to happen. The Jags scored season high 7 runs in the 4th inning, and they got it started on Ethan Melton's second double of the afternoon. Blake Guerin, that's a name that you need to keep an eye on, as he's a great hitter in this league. Cleared the bases on his 13th home run of the season that towered over the trees to left center. Longest of the season as well, 445 feet. I love how people can figure that stuff out. I'm not good enough at math to know that, but 445 feet seems like a pretty big hit there. Rhett Johnson stayed hot and hit his 3rd homer in previous 5 at-bats in the 5th inning. And then to finalize it, Cajuns got the 6-5 victory over Southern Miss, with Andrew Herman tossed his nation-leading 3rd complete game of the season, rebounding from Friday's loss to win Saturday's game before they even got to the Sunday one. He delivered 108 pitches, including 81 strikes, allowing just 5 hits, walking just 1, and striking out 9. Andrew Herman, if you haven't heard the name, mark it down, note it in your phone. This kid's going to be special. Another one we're going to see on the mound in the pros, I think, very, very soon. So I think my long-winded wrap-up will now be finally over.
That covered it all, man. Well done.
Yeah. So let's look at what we're looking at now, which is kind of, at this point, live scores. I'll see if I can update my app and see if that Coastal game.
Look at them right now. I know.
Go ahead.
Have a good day.
Right.
Against, let's see if that Troy game went final.
It did.
They win.
They dropped to New Orleans, 11-10.
Man, New Orleans and southeastern Louisiana just pick off our teams in the midweek like crazy.
Yeah. Georgia State stays hot. They get the win 5-2 over West Georgia tonight. As you mentioned, Western takes care of App for a 2nd time this season, and it's not even close. It's 14-4. It's awful. So not good.
As an App fan, man, you hate to see that.
Oh, yeah. You definitely hate to see that one. Here's another team that gives a lot of our teams problem. Nichols is in a 1-run game with South Alabama right now. Okay. South Alabama is leading 3-2, but again, 1-run game, close one. Texas State also a 1-run 3-2 game with Houston Christian at the moment. Arkansas State taking care of Southern Illinois, which they should. 13-21 overall on this season, so that's one A-State should get the victory on. Ole Miss, number 25 in the country, taking it to Southern Miss, unfortunately, right now, 7-1. Southern Miss got the victory earlier in the season, though, Marv, right?
Yeah, they did. Southern Miss playing on the road this time, but man, after the weekend they had, they'd love to rebound and find a way to come back and win that one.
Yeah. And listen to this. So Richmond takes down James Madison after James Madison struggles against Georgia State. Maybe not overly surprising. They're roughly equal in overall record, not terribly far apart. But Georgia Southern still's got a chance against number 2 in the country, Georgia Tech. It's striking distance. It's 11-7 in the top of the 8th now.
Okay.
But there's a chance. I mean, Georgia Southern's taking down Clemson. Clemson's not kind of what they have been this year, but still a pretty good baseball team. So
didn't Georgia State beat Georgia Tech earlier this year?
I believe they did. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, it'd be great to see that happen again, especially for Georgia Southern. They really need it. That'd be a in-state victory. They can really hang their hat on and be pretty cool. Artie Cat with a random factoid. The Seattle Mariners used to measure the outfield wall in fathoms. Is that what he says?
Fathoms. It's a nautical depth.
Because of the Mariners. Ha! I got it. All right. I'm glad you knew what that term meant because I did not know what fathoms was. So.
I think a fathom is 6 feet. I'm actually going to Google search and check that.
There you go. Stay in school, kids. You'll know what fathoms means. So we'll save this question that I usually ask for this one. Which game's bigger here? Richmond Spiders versus Old Dominion Wednesday, or is it Marshall traveling on the road to play Ohio State? I think I know your answer, but let's just ask it anyway.
I'm actually kind of stuck in the middle of this one, considering that Richmond just beat one of our teams, but just because the brand, right? I think a Marshall win over Ohio State means more.
Yeah, and I'd say like the bigger part of that is going on the road to Ohio State. That's the big part because, like you said, Richmond is 19-16. Ohio State is 19-15. It's not like they're equal in conference. I get it, but they are equal in record. So it's not like you're playing some team that's like amazing, ranked highly in the standings. I mean, highly in the country. You got two pretty equal teams. One at home, one on the road. But yeah, I think we'll lean towards the Sun Belt, hopefully taking down a Big Ten team, as we like to say. We like to favor the Sun Belt over the Big Ten as far as a
baseball.
Big time.
Yeah, baseball. Yes,
baseball. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the series in the Sun Belt this weekend and come up with our series of the week. All right, I hope you like those hot flames of fire.
Hey, man, that's good stuff.
little campground noise for us. So we've got App State at JMU, Georgia State traveling on the road to Conway to play Coastal Carolina, Texas State at Southern Miss, Cajuns at Troy, A-State at ULM, Marshall, South Alabama, and we finalize it with Georgia Southern playing ODU. I think that one's not even starting until Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So, Marv, which one is your series of the week for the Sun Belt this weekend?
Goodness. There's 4 really good series here, in my opinion. Man.
I don't blame you. It's just tougher than it has been. A lot of the last couple of weeks we've said like one's kind of more obvious than the others. I don't know if there's a really obvious answer here.
No, I want to pick one, but then I want to talk to them.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Cajuns, Troy, just to see if both of them could stay hot.
I like it.
You could have easily said Texas State, Southern Miss to see who rebounds.
Yep.
But interested to hear your pick, and let's just go series by series for a minute.
Okay. I am going to go away from all those games. I'm going to go Georgia State, Coastal Carolina. I want to see what Georgia State is capable of. As you said, beat Georgia Tech, a really, really good team earlier this year. Yep. They're hot right now. Coastal Carolina, they only dropped 1 to A-State, which isn't really a shocker, but they almost dropped 2, right? They didn't have that big comeback in that first game. And I kind of like Texas State and Southern Miss, like does Coastal kind of rebound? I know they won the series, but like I said, not overly impressive in those games, maybe. Yeah. Probably losing to Wake tonight. Do they rebound here against Georgia State at home? Or does Georgia State keep it rolling and jump up in those standings quite a bit? So that I got a lot of intrigue in that one specifically. But, JMU's up there too. Does JMU, come back from this struggle fest that they've been having because they're playing at home? I don't know.
And App's got an opportunity to kind of continue to move up. We had talked that App had a little run there, right? I thought the Monroe series was kind of if they could get past that one, they've got a couple weekends in a row where if they can go win some series, they can take a big step forward. But like you said, JMU, does it all fall apart for them? Texas State, Southern Miss. I'm just going to go across the top real quick. Texas State, Southern Miss, obviously number 1 and number 2 teams in the conference, right? That should automatically jump off the page to everyone as, hey, this is the biggest series of the weekend. Or excuse me, number 2 and number 3. My apologies. Coastal's number 1. But
yeah,
they both lost their series, man. Like, who's going to get it right? Who's going to turn it around? Marshall versus South Alabama. That is 2 of the 5 teams that are tied for 3rd playing each other.
Yep.
Right? That's a big one. Cajuns, Troy already talked about. Georgia Southern ODU. You would have to think, because that is the 2 worst teams. Like, whoever loses that series probably doesn't make the postseason, period. It's going to be extremely difficult. One of those teams sweeps, they could maybe start to, climb out of the basement. And then Arkansas State, ULM, that's also a big one. There's 1 game separating them in conference. That's a big city. This is a make it or not make it or break it. I don't want to say that. It's probably a little bit too dramatic for where we are in the season, but broken record, right? This is a separation weekend. Who wants it?
Yeah, as you say that, I want to bring this back up because, like, what you're talking about here, Texas State, Southern Miss, they are right there, one game. Well, I guess, is that considered 2-game difference when you look at 9-6 and 8-7?
I guess, but here's the deal. Whoever wins that series is going to be the clear number 2 in my power rankings the following week. Like you can't can't argue that.
Yeah, that's true. That will clear that one up pretty easily. Especially if somebody can sweep that one, then you're obviously and clearly number 2. There will be no argument. There's nobody could say anything about that at that point. But yeah, this is going to be a crazy weekend because of how close all of this is. TK from the paper, who's an App State guy, doesn't technically report for App State, but just reports on App State quite a bit for his current place. I think he's over in Tennessee right now. He brought up a great point. Looking at these standings right now, could we see a basketball tiebreaker situation where we have to do all this math and calculations and figure out who is where when it comes to tournament time?
You never know. It's like, because I'm there's a lot of highly or super close teams that are going to play each other. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 weeks left. That's it.
Yeah, pretty crazy to think about. It felt like it came out of nowhere. Baseball season did, right?
Yeah.
And now we're like already like closing in, like, hey, you need to be on a roll. You need to be having your better performances, and it's going to be all on the line soon, because you're going to be right where you want to be, or it's going to be too late. Correct. There's not going to be enough time to overcome what you've done. I asked some people on college baseball Reddit, which is a great Reddit page to follow or be a part of if you're not currently, because they talk about all of it, and they love Sunbelt baseball. Like when I post about stuff on Sunbelt baseball, lots of interaction, lots of people appreciate knowing about a conference that's very good in baseball. A lot of respect, which is good, because a lot of times you see other stuff being talked about on social media. So that's one of the places where you do earn some respect when you're a Sunbelt baseball fan. But yeah, there's some people out there that said, I don't know, Sunbelt may have 2, maybe 3, but anything past that is going to be hard to overcome, because some of our teams at 3, 4, 5, 6 have some really bad losses to quad 4 teams. Yeah. Now, those are going to be hard to overcome when you've got an SEC team or ACC team that's around the same area, but all they do is play ranked teams every other week. Right. Like it's tough, because they're going to have the schedule, they're going to have the RPI over us. So you have to start taking care of business if you're one of these teams anywhere near the middle of this pack right now.
Not to mention the fact that middle pack is going to beat the crap out of each other over the next 5 weeks.
That's also true. Yep. And as we know, Coastal and Southern Miss avoid each other for yet another year. I know both fan bases hate that immensely. They really, really want to play each other in the regular season. Part of me understands it from a conference standpoint, where you say, yeah, but how much greater would it be if we save that for conference tournament and kind of protect them?
What if it doesn't happen? And that's
true.
One game. Like we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and obviously the dynamics changed a little bit, but was it 2 weeks ago or last week? They were ranked 11 and 10. Like you want to put the spotlight on the Sun Belt Conference for baseball. You have that series on the weekend. Like that, I think Southern Miss and Coastal, who have been our top 2 programs for the past several years now, mandatory have to play each other. It doesn't have to be the last weekend series, because you don't want to screw anything up before the tournament starts. But it needs to be a meaningful, like midway, a little bit towards the end of the conference slate. Hope everything goes well. You never know, right? It's baseball, but I think we missed a big opportunity this year to have those teams get spotlighted.
Yeah, and as we know now, I mean, I think it's unofficially official. La Tech will be in this conference for sure next year.
Are we sure?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little doubt, I think. I mean, did you see what the rumored total is that they're paying out to get out of the Conference USA?
No, but please tell me.
$8 million.
That's
what when you're talking SEC, ACC money, you're right. That's
that's a drop in the bucket. Yeah, but for
right,
something like, yeah. Pull up to Doug Gillen at App State and be, hey, bro, I need $8 million. And he's like, we
exactly. Yeah, and that $8 million doesn't buy you anything, right? It just buys you the opportunity to leave for what you hope to be a better situation. And we think it'll be a better situation in the Sun Belt for La Tech, but is that going to pay dividends immediately, or is that going to be 4 or 5 years down the road? Because
on an ROI standpoint, how long does it take you to get that back?
Exactly. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, La Tech really isn't any better situationally positioned financially than the other two Louisiana schools already in here. And we know ULM's strapped for money. Cajuns, depending on who you talk to, are okay or they're behind in where they should be financially. And so I don't think La Tech's going to be crazy different from any of that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. But again, I think it's going to bring a lot more pride, a lot more interest, a lot more intrigue to the baseball side of things because La Tech's no slouch when it comes to a baseball power. So it'll be fun in that regard, especially between Southern Miss, who was a former Conference USA member with La Tech. So that's going to reignite that rivalry. And then obviously,
I hate losing Texas State.
I do too. I do too. Yeah. I would not have flipped La Tech for Texas State for any reason of my own.
Yeah.
ECU, sure. Yeah, of course. But I don't think La Tech's a big enough draw. But that's who we're going to have. And it's kind of like people that said, we don't need a team in Texas. I don't think we need a team in Texas, but we had a team or have a team in Texas. I for the longest time, I was like, go get UTSA. UTSA and Texas State hate each other. It brings more people with more interest in Texas. It becomes a little bit stronger of a hold for the Sun Belt. The problem is, who do you bring in on the East, right, to combat that? And if you could have brought in ECU with UTSA from the American, oh boy, you're now without a doubt the best mid-major for football and basketball, and 110% a power conference in baseball. Nobody else would.
Baseball conference, SEC, ACC, Sun Belt. Period.
Yes, exactly. Artie Cat says maybe Duck Dynasty will show up. I believe Duck Dynasty guys.
They're ULM.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if they're huge, massive supporters, but I know they've done some stuff in the past. So I can't say whether that is something that's continued or just a one-time type of thing. Artie Cat also says, Marv, are you against baseball or sports-specific membership only, like soccer for the Sun Belt?
Yeah.
Pac-12 added Dallas Baptist as a baseball member only, which really helps. Yeah, that's a good question. What do you think on that?
In general, yes. I think if you're going to come in, you need to be part of every sport, especially if you help the conference at every sport. Look at the weird deal that Notre Dame has with the ACC, right? Then there's the other side that's like, well, if we could get better at this, I don't know. I think that outweighs the overall impact. I am not against it, but I would much, much, much rather have a team join us for everything. And that team's got to be the right team, right? They got to help us across all sports. You don't want to bring in a team. The only way that would work, though, is, and let's be honest, it's the money sport. Like if you get a good football team that says, hey, we want to play football only, we know that's not going to happen because if they're that good, they're going somewhere else. But if it's one of the high revenue producing sports, yeah, let's have a talk. But for soccer, nah, we're good.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And I think, Artie, you asked that question or something very similar last week. Right after we jumped off, I saw it and I talked to Marv about it afterwards. So I'm glad you remembered to ask that again, and Marv got the opportunity to answer. And I'll piggyback on a little bit of that. I like the fact that it helps with like the rivalry across everything. When you play each other in everything, now you're more familiar with that other fan base. You want to continue that hate or that animosity or that revenge factor. Like, hey, we lost you in basketball, so we want to beat you really bad in baseball, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't always carry over. Not always the same people care, but it doesn't hurt when you're continuously playing each other in a bunch of different sports. He says, UTRGV to the Sun Belt. Come back home. I think they're more of like a Conference USA fit right now.
Yeah. I also think with Texas State being gone, you don't go that far west again.
I agree. Once you lost Texas like that, I don't think you go back and try and get one team. If you came back in somehow with two and they were like a stronger pairing or something, again, that's why I thought Texas State and UTSA. First of all, UTSA coming in as a football school, win, 100%. Absolute win. Baseball, they're pretty good. I don't think their basketball is anything special. I will say La Tech's basketball program surprisingly better than I thought it was. If you go and look at how they've performed, and they've been in, let's be honest, Conference USA, a better basketball conference than the Sun Belt, at least currently. Not by a ton, but I would say it's a better basketball conference. So them coming in next year could be a surprise team immediately in the Sun Belt to compete for a title. So we'll have to see if that happens. He's saying Duck Dynasty is La Tech. Yeah, you see, when you come in with UT RGV and Tarleton State, that's what I'm saying. Just give them to this Conference USA. I don't want.
There's no sizzle.
That. Yeah. I don't think now. This is where Artie's got a different perspective. He's in Texas. He maybe hears or interacts with a lot of those teams, fans, or something like that on a lot bigger aspect. We don't. We're over here on the East Coast. We don't hear about either of those teams ever, right? I mean, I think you could walk in to a lot of Sunbelt schools, talk to the students, right? Some of them are going to struggle to know other Sunbelt schools, to be totally honest with you. They just are. I've seen Jag Nation Radio went and showed some of our logos saying, hey, the Jags are playing this team this weekend. Whose logo is this? And like for App State, a lot of them answered like Army.
Oh, shoot.
which it's not crazy different. So yeah, that one kind of makes sense. But there's some other ones that they got wrong throughout the season that were like obvious to us, but not to. I think if you went and said, what is UTRGV? I think you'd get all kinds of answers. I don't think many people would even know it's a school. And Tarleton State, I don't believe many of our current students within the Sun Belt would know what state Tarleton State is in. Yeah. So those would be hard sells, at least for me. But Artie Cat says, yeah, of course, but huge here in state. Yep. And auto ready to compete with money facility. Yeah. And that's true. All right. And Texas States are going to throw more money at football and certainly baseball to some extent. Basketball, who knows? But see, that's where if we can have a strong entry in basketball, we're looking a lot better as a conference for the Sun Belt because that's what we need the most help in.
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. All right, Marv, any last news or notes before we get out of here on a Tuesday? Going live on a Tuesday.
Yeah, appreciate you accommodating the doubleheader I had last night. No, just once again, sounds redundant every single week, but someone please step up and say, hey, I want to be top 3 forever.
Yeah, that would be nice. Just before we go, Georgia Tech 13-9, top 9. So Georgia Southern's last opportunity to spring the surprise there. Everybody else, well, for the most part, still locked in one-run games. So it'll be interesting to see how those later games end up. But we will have the scores for you tomorrow morning, as we always do. So thanks for tuning in. And until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.